Welcome to MWN.com. Dr. M.Wilson is happy to welcome all to this session. Greetings from MWN.com. Dr. M.Wilson, author, publisher, professor of commerce and management and formerly vice principal and head of Department of Commerce, Nagarcoil is delighted in presenting this session. Thank you. Please subscribe the channel MWN.com. Chapter 11. Index Numbers. Index numbers are first introduced in Italy in the year 1764. The first index was constructed in Italy to compare the Italian price index in 1750 with the price level of 1500. Later, it was adopted by other countries. The measure of prices of commodities for two periods is the main objective of index numbers. Nowadays, the index number techniques are also used for the measure of various economic and business activities. It is a measure of studying the relationship between two variables related to two different periods. It shows whether the particular variable is assuming an increasing trend or decreasing trend from one period to another. Definitions of index number. The important definitions of index number are as follows. 1. According to Croxton and Cowden, index numbers are devices for measuring difference in the magnitude of a group of related variables. 2. According to Clark and Schode, an index number is a percentage relative that compares economic measures in a given period with those same measures at a fixed period in the past. 3. According to Spiegel, an index number is a statistical measure designed to show changes in a variable or a group of related variables with respect to time, geographical location or other characteristics. 4. According to Maslow, index number is a numerical value characterizing the change in complex economic phenomena over a period of time or space. It is clear from the above definitions that index number is a measure of changes in one or two variables over a period of time. Types of index numbers. The most common types of index numbers are I. Price index numbers, E. Quantity index numbers and E. Value index numbers. I. Price index numbers. Price index number is a measure of the changes of prices of commodities over a period of time. It is constructed by comparing the price of commodities for two different periods. The periods are past year and current year. The prices for past period are called the prices of base period. Price index numbers are of two types. They are wholesale price index numbers and retail price index numbers. Wholesale price index numbers deal with the wholesale or general price level of commodities. Retail price index number deals with the changes in the retail prices of the commodities. E. Quantity index numbers. Quantity index numbers are concerned with the quantity of goods produced or consumed. It measures the rate of change of quantity of commodities produced and consumed between two different periods. Example: quantity of goods produced in industry, quantity of goods imported and exported, quantity of agricultural production, etc. E. Value index numbers. Value index numbers deal with changes in the total value of products in a specific year compared with a past year. Value of product is calculated by multiplying the quantity with the price per unit. Uses of index numbers. The following are the important uses in the construction of index numbers. I. Index numbers measure trend values. Index numbers deal with the measurement of changes of prices, quantity or value for different periods. Hence, it is possible to ascertain trend values for different periods. This trend values show increase or decrease of a phenomenon over a period of time. It helps to find out the reasons for the upward or downward trends. E. Index numbers facilitate for policy decisions. Index numbers help the government, non-government organizations and business units to take suitable policies. The government decides about minimum wages, salaries and dearness allowances for the workers on the basis of cost of living index. Index numbers helps the business units to take decisions for future periods, with respect to quantity of goods to be produced and marketed, pricing policies, etc. E. Index numbers are used for deflating. It is possible to adjust values on one period according to the changes in prices with the help of index numbers. Hence, it helps to convert the normal income into real income and nominal sales into real sales. IV. Index numbers are economic barometers. The condition of the economy of a country can be known through construction of index numbers. It is possible to know the present status and growth for different periods with regard to employment, literacy, agriculture, industry, commerce, etc. through index numbers. Hence, it can be termed as economic barometers. V. Index numbers help in comparing the standard of living. Index numbers helps to know the standard of living of people in various places of a country. Hence, it facilitates the government to take suitable measures for the backward areas of the country. Problems in the construction of index numbers. The following factors should be taken into consideration before construction of the index numbers. The purpose of the index numbers. The purpose of construction of index number should be decided before construction of the index numbers. On the basis of the purpose, suitable index number can be selected. There are various types of index numbers on the basis of income, expenses, price level, production of various commodities, etc. Example: in the construction of index number related to the production in micro-enterprises, only the production for micro-enterprises should be taken into account. The output of small-scale industries should not be included for this purpose. Availability of data. The areas selected for the construction of index numbers should provide adequate data. If the area selected is not providing adequate data, it is not possible to construct correct index numbers. There may also be delay in the construction of the index numbers. Example: in the construction of index number for number of sales by various small-scale industrial units, the real data may not be supplied by the units, in order to misappropriate in the payment of taxes. The data should also be capable of comparison with other data. Otherwise, there will not be any quality in the index numbers. Selection of items. Selection of items depends upon the nature of index numbers to be constructed. If cost of living index numbers are to be constructed for a specific income group, the representative items from the particular category of income group should be taken from that particular area. But for the construction of cost of living index numbers in general, the representative items from all income groups of the area must be selected. Selection of base period. Index number is calculated by taking into account of a base year. The base year selected should be a normal one. Hence, care should be taken in the selection of base year. The period had not experienced war, drought, famine, etc. The base period should not be too long in the past. For example, to compare the price level for 2015, it is not proper to select either 1940 or 1950 as base. It should be around 1990 or 2000. The period may not be too short also. The selection of base depends upon the nature of index numbers constructed and the availability of data. The following are the important types of bases. A fixed base. The prices of the base year should be treated as 100 in the fixed base method. On the basis of this price of 100, the increase or decrease in price for the current year should be calculated. Chain base. In this method, prices of one year should be compared with another year, whereas, in the fixed base, the prices in various years should be compared with the particular fixed base year. In the chain base, the base changes from period to period. For example, under chain base method, the prices of 2015 should be compared with 2014 by considering 2014 as base year. The prices of 2014 should be compared with the prices of 2013 by taking 2013 as base, etc. Average base. The average prices of few years should be taken as base for comparison under the average base. It helps to reduce the abnormalities and fluctuations in the prices of commodities. Selection of average. Normally, arithmetic mean is taken into account for calculations in the construction of index numbers. Median and mode are not used in the construction of index numbers. But, geometric mean is also used to some extent. Geometric mean has some comparative advantage than arithmetic mean for the construction of index numbers. Selection of weights. There is a need for assigning weight to different variables in the construction of index numbers. The reason is that all variables are not having equal importance. For example, in the construction of consumer price index, the products which are highly preferred as well as low preferred should be taken into account. If all the products are equally treated in the construction of index numbers, then there will not be quality in the result. It is practically difficult to assign weights while constructing index numbers. According to the relative importance of one item with other, weights should be fixed. There are two most common methods adopted for assigning weights. They are A. Implicit weight and B. Explicit weight. A. Implicit weight. In this method, the weight should be given according to the number of times the particular commodity is selected for the construction of index numbers. For example, if 3 varieties of rice, 1 variety of wheat and 2 varieties of sugar are selected for the construction of price index numbers, weight 3 should be given for rice and weight 1 should be given for wheat and weight 2 should be given for sugar. B. Explicit weight. In this method, weight should be given on the basis of the importance of the items selected, instead of the number of times it was selected. For example, the commodity rice is more important than edible oil. Hence, more weight should be assigned for rice than edible oil. Selection of appropriate sources of data. The data in the construction of index numbers may be available at various sources. It is very difficult to select the appropriate source. Hence, care should be taken in the selection of source. For example, in the construction of consumer price index, the prices may be different in different sources. Hence, the prices may be collected from the standard source. Selection of suitable formula. An appropriate, standard formula should be selected for the construction of index numbers. The formula for the construction of index numbers depends upon the nature of index numbers to be constructed. Methods of construction of index numbers. Index numbers can be calculated through the following methods. Unweighted or simple method. 1. Simple aggregate. 2. Simple average of price relative. Weighted method. 1. Weighted aggregate. 2. Weighted average of price relatives. Unweighted method. 1. Simple aggregate method. In this method, the index numbers can be calculated by dividing the sum of the current year prices with the sum of the base year prices. It can be calculated by the following formula. PO1 equals sigma P1 by sigma P0 into 100. PO1 indicates price index numbers, AP1 indicates sum of the prices for the current year. AP0 indicates sum of the prices of the base year. Merits. This method is the simplest method for constructing index numbers. The result can be obtained within very short period of time. Demerits. It could not be considered as an exact measure of construction of index numbers since quantity is not taken into account. The relative importance of items has not been taken into account in this method. In illustration 1, it is required to construct the index numbers for 2019 on the basis of the prices of 2024. Price for 2019 and of 2024 are given for 5 commodities. Some of these values should be first calculated, then it would be applied in the formula to know the index number. Simple average of price relative method. This method is based upon the price relative of each commodity. The average of the price relatives of all commodities will give the price index numbers. The average of the price relatives can be calculated either by arithmetic mean or geometric mean method. Price relative for each commodity can be calculated as P1 by P0 into 100. P1 denotes price for current year, P0 denotes price for base year. Index number can be calculated through the following formulas. Index number based on arithmetic mean. P01 equals P1 by P0 into 100 by 100. It can also be expressed as P01 equals P equals X 100. Index number based on geometric mean can be calculated through the following formula. In illustration 2, it is required to calculate price index on the basis of simple average of price relative method through both arithmetic mean and geometric mean. Data are related with the prices of 5 commodities. Prepare a 5-column table. In first 3 columns are with data given in the illustration. In fourth column P value, that is P1 by P0, is calculated, and in the log values of P should be calculated. Then total of the last 2 columns in the table are calculated. These values are applied in the respective formulas to know the 1 price index based on arithmetic mean and 2 price index based on geometric mean. Merits. 1. The index numbers under this method will not be affected by extreme values. 2. The index number will not be affected by the absolute level of individual prices. Demerits. 1. It is difficult to select the appropriate average for the construction of index numbers. 2. The relative importance of each item has not been taken into account in this method. Weighted index numbers. This is the most accurate method for calculating index number. In this method, the quantity consumed is also taken into account, in addition to the prices of the commodities. Weighted index numbers can be calculated through A. Weighted aggregate method and B. Weighted average of price relatives. A. Weighted aggregate method. This method is based on the quantity of commodities consumed and its prices. The weight for the prices of the commodities can be ascertained by multiplying the quantity sold or consumed with the price of each commodity. The following are the most common methods for calculating index under this method. 1. Lasper's method. 2. Pasha's method. 3. Bowley, Darbysh method. 4. Fisher's ideal method. 5. Marshall-Edgeworth's method and 6. Kelly's method. The formulas for 1. Lasper's method. 2. Pasha's method. 3. Bowie, Darbysh method. 4. Fisher's ideal method. 5. Marshall-Edgeworth method. 6. Kelly's method are well presented here. In illustration 3, the data related with the prices and quantity consumed for 2019 to 2024 are given. For constructing price index numbers by A. Lasper's method, B. Pasha's method, C. Bowley, Darbysh method, D. Fisher's method. 9 columns table should be prepared. In the first 5 columns, data as given in the illustration should be recorded. In the 6th column pi q0, in 7th column p0 q0, in the 8th column p1 q1 and in the 9th column p0 chi should be calculated. Calculated values should be applied in the respective formulas to know the index numbers under a. Laspera's method, b. Pasch's method, c. Pauli, Darbosh method, d. Fisher's method. In illustration 4, it is required to calculate index numbers by a. Marshall-Edgeworth method and b. Kelly's method from the data related to price and quantity consumed for 2019 and 2024. 12 columns table should be prepared. In the first 5 columns, data as given in the illustration should be recorded. In the 6th column, q should be calculated. It is the average of q0 and q. In the 7th column pi q0, in 8th column p0 q0, in the 9th column p1 q1, in the 10th column p0 chi, 11th column p1 0 q and in 10th column p0 q should be calculated. Then the sums of the last 6 columns should be calculated. These values should be applied in respective formulas to know a. Index number under Marshall-Edgeworth method, and b. Index number under Kelly's method. Weighted average of price relatives method. In this method, price relatives of each commodity should be taken into account for calculating the price index. The index number under this method can be calculated through arithmetic mean method and geometric mean method. A. Arithmetic mean method. Index number under this method can be calculated as follows. P01 equals sigma PV by sigma V. P equals price relatives, i.e., equal to P1 by P0 into 100. And V equals value weights, i.e., equal to P0 Q0. Steps. I calculate the value weights of each commodity by multiplying the price for the base year with quantity for the base year. That is V equals P0 into Q0 and then calculate sigma V. E. Find out the price relatives for each commodity, that is, P equals P1 by P0 into 100. E. Multiply the price relative with the value weights for each commodity, that is P into V, and then calculate the value sigma P into V. IV. Divide sigma P into V with sigma V to find out the price index. Geometric mean method. The formula for the index number under this method is P01 equals antilog sigma V into log P by sigma V. Steps. I calculate value weight for each commodity. That is V equals P0 into Q0 and then calculate sigma V. E. Find out the price relatives for each commodity, that is, P equals P1 by P0 into 100. E. Find out logarithm for the price relatives, that is log P for each commodity. IV. Multiply log price relatives with the value weights, that is V into log P, and then calculate sigma V log P. V. Divide sigma V log P with sigma V, and then find out the antilog value to get the price index number. In illustration 5, it is required to calculate price index from the data by weighted average of price relatives through a. Arithmetic mean method and b. Geometric mean method. 9 columns table should be prepared. In the first 4 columns, data as given in the illustration should be recorded. In the 5th column, V values should be calculated, that is P0 into Q0. In 6th column, P values should be calculated, that is P1 by P0 into 100. In the 7th column, P into V. In the 8th column, log P, and in the 9th column, V into log P should be calculated. Then the sums of the 5, 7 and 9th columns should be calculated. These values should be applied in respective formulas to know price index under weighted average of price relatives by a. Arithmetic mean method and b. Geometric mean method. Quantity index numbers. Quantity index numbers are concerned with the measure the quantity of goods produced, sold or consumed. The quantities of goods produced or distributed from one period to another period are measured under this method. To construct quantity index numbers, the prices of the commodity either in the base year or in the current year should be taken into consideration. The quantity index number can be calculated through the following mentioned here. In illustration 6, it is required to calculate quantity index from the following data through 1 Laspera's method, 2 Pasch's method, and 3 Fisher's method. 9 columns table should be prepared. In the first 5 columns, data as given in the illustration should be recorded. In the 6th column, Q1 into P0, in 7th column, Q0 into P0, in the 8th column, Q1 into P1, and in the 9th column, Q0 into Q1 should be calculated. Then the sums of the last 4 columns should be calculated. These values should be applied in respective formulas to know quantity index numbers under Laspera's method, Pasch's method, and Fisher's method. Value index number. Value index number is the ratio between the values of all commodities in the given period to the total value of all commodities in the base period. The formula in this method is mentioned here. Test of consistency of index numbers. There are various tests available to find out the consistency of index numbers. The important methods are 1. Time reversal test, 2. Factor reversal test, 3. Circular test. 1. Time reversal test. Professor Irvin Fisher advocated time reversal test to know the consistency of the index number. According to him, the formula for calculating the index number should be such that it will give the same ratio for one point of comparison and the other. The test can be conducted as P01 into P10 equals 1, where P01 means the index number for time 1 on time 0 as base and P10 means the index for time 0 on time 1 as base. When this time reversal test is applied to all the method for calculating index numbers like Lasber's method, Pasha's method, Fisher's method, etc., only Fisher's ideal method satisfies a time reversal test. Index number under Fisher's method is mentioned here. Factor reversal test. This test is also advocated by Fisher to test the consistency of index number. According to this test, the product of price index and the quantity index should be equal to the value index. It can be represented as V equals P01 into Q01. The formula is mentioned below. It is clear from the calculations that only Fisher's ideal method satisfies the factor reversal test. 3. Circular test. Circular test is applied for testing the consistency of index numbers, especially for the index number of the changes in prices over a period of years. According to the test, P01 x P12 x P23, Pn1 n x Pno equals 1. It is proved that Lasber's method, Fisher's method and Pasha's method won't satisfy the circular test. Only simple aggregative method and the fixed weight aggregative method satisfy the circular test. Hence, for calculating index number for the fluctuation of prices over a period, these two methods are recommended. The circular test based in the simple aggregative method can be calculated through the formula mentioned here. In illustration 7, it is required to calculate the price index number through Fisher's ideal method and to find out the consistency of the index number by time reversal test and factor reversal test. 9 columns table should be prepared. In the first 5 columns, data as given in the illustration should be recorded. In the 6th column, pi into Q0, in 7th column, P0 into Q0, in the 8th column, P1 into Q1, and in the 9th column, P0 into Chi should be calculated. Then sums of the last 4 columns should be calculated. These values should be applied in respective formulas to know a index number under Marshall-Edgeworth method, and b index number under Kelly's method. Then sums of the last 4 columns should be calculated. These values should be applied in respective formulas to know index number under Fisher's ideal method, that is 153.5. A time reversal test. Index number is consistent if time reversal test is equal to 1. It satisfies time reversal test. B. Factor reversal test. Index number is consistent if factor reversal test. It satisfies factor reversal test. Chain base method. In the fixed base index number, the base remains the same for all the series of the index. But in chain base method, the index numbers are constructed by treating just previous year as the base year. Hence, in each calculation's base will change. In practice, the base once selected may not be suitable for another period due to various reasons like changes in economic conditions, the changes in the social behavior of people, etc. In these situations, the chain base method is most suitable method for calculating the index numbers. Steps for the construction of chain indices. 1. Calculate the link relatives, which is equal to 2. Chain index can be calculated through the formula mentioned here. Merits of chain base index. 1. It helps the economist and businessmen to know the trend of the price level. This is because the price of one year is compared with the price of previous year in this method. 2. It helps to take decisions for the management of a company. 3. This method will not be affected by seasonal fluctuations. Demerits of chain base index. 1. It is not possible to calculate long-term changes in prices in this method. 2. It is not possible to exclude the abnormal period in this method. In illustration 8, it is required to calculate the chain base index numbers from the fixed base index numbers. 4 columns table should be prepared. In first 2 columns, the data as given in illustration should be recorded. In the third column, link relatives should be calculated. In the second row of the third column, index number of current year by of previous year into 100. Like that, values in all other rows should be calculated. Conversion of chain base index into fixed base index. The fixed base index numbers can be calculated from the chain base index numbers. The following formula should be applied to convert the chain index into fixed index. Current year's fixed base index FBI equals current year CBI into previous year FBI by 100. CBI equals chain base index. 4 columns table should be prepared. In first 2 columns the data as given in illustration should be recorded. Third column is for calculation for conversion index number. In the second row of the third column of current year into previous year by 100. In the third row 70 into 110 into 125 by 100 into 100. In the fourth row 70 into 110 into 125 into 90 by 100 into 100 into 100. The calculated values should be recorded in the last column. Base shifting. Base shifting means calculation of index number based on new base. The base has to be shifted from old one to new one. It is due to the fact that old base may become outmoded. The base can be shifted through the formula mentioned here. In illustration 10 is required to calculate the new index numbers based on 2021 from the index numbers based on 2018. 4 columns table should be prepared. In first 2 columns the data as given in illustration should be recorded. Third column is for calculation for conversion index number. In the second row of the third column of new index number, it should be calculated by dividing with 170 with the values in column 2 into 100 for all rows, that is 100 divided by 170 into 100, then 130 divided by 170 into 100. Like that, all values for other rows should be calculated. Splicing of 2 index numbers. Splicing means combination of 2 index numbers. The need for splicing arises due to the fact that some commodities may become outmoded or out of fashion. New commodity may come into existence which replaces the old one. Hence, a new index number for the new article may be available. It should be combined with the existing index numbers. The procedure of combination of these 2 index numbers is called splicing. The formula for splicing of index number is mentioned here. In illustration 11, 2 sets of index, one with 2020 as base and the other with 2024 as base. The old index was discontinued in the year 2020 and new index number with 2020 as base was calculated. Splice the second index numbers with the first index numbers to get a continuous series of index numbers from 2016 to 2024. In the illustration, index number based on 2016 and index number based on 2020 are given. Hence index number for these 2 years are 100. 4 columns table should be prepared. In first 3 columns the data as given in illustration should be recorded. Fourth column is for calculation for conversion index number. In the row corresponding to 2020 it is calculated as 100 into 150 by 100. After that, for all rows 150 should be multiplied with the respective values in the third column. No values need to be recorded for years 2016 to 2019. Deflating of index numbers. Deflating of index number means correction of index number according to changes in price level. This technique is usually applied for calculating the real wages. It helps the government to take suitable policies to raise the wages and dearness allowance of employees. It measures the decrease in the purchasing power of money due to the increase in price level. It can be calculated through the formula mentioned here. In illustration 12 it is required to calculate 1 index numbers for real wages and 2 real wages. 6 columns table should be prepared. In first 3 columns the data as given in illustration should be recorded. Fourth column is for index of wages. It is calculated by dividing all the values given in third column with 200 multiplied with 100. Fifth column is for real wage index. It is calculated by dividing the values in fourth column with the values in third column multiplied with 100. Sixth column is for real wage. It is calculated by dividing the values in second column with the values in third column multiplied with 100. Consumer Price Index numbers. Consumer Price Index number was also known as Cost of Living Index number, or Price of Living Index number. It measures the relative changes over a period of time in the cost level. It means the amount of money required now to maintain similar standard of living of the past period for the specified class of people. It represents the average change in prices over a period of time, paid by the ultimate consumer for a fixed set of goods and services. According to A.K. Konus, in 1924, the Consumer Price Index number is the ratio of the monetary expenditures of an individual which secure for him the same standard of living, or total utility, in two situations differing only in respect of prices. It is assumed that the consumption pattern of the specified class of the people and the retail prices of that region should not vary for calculating consumer price indices. The items contributing for the construction of consumer price index are generally classified into I. Food, E. Clothing, in fuel and light, IV. Housing, and V. Miscellaneous items like television, radio, etc. Objectives of constructing consumer price index numbers. 1. The government can formulate wage policy, price policy, and other economic policies on the basis of consumer price index. 2. It helps the government to fix minimum wage and rate of dearness allowance. 3. It is possible to measure the purchasing power of money. 4. The real income of the money income can be measured. 5. It helps to study rate of changes of price of basic commodities over different periods of time. Steps or precautions in the construction of consumer price index number. The important precautions to be taken in the construction of consumer price index number are as follows. 1. Determination of the class of people. There are different group of people living in the society. They are low income group, middle income group, and high income group. These income groups may also be classified into people living in urban areas and rural areas like urban middle income group, rural middle income group, etc. Hence, the class of people for whom the index number is to be constructed should be determined before constructing the index number. 2. Selection of base period. The base year selected should be a period of economic stability. Base period should be taken as one complete year to avoid seasonal fluctuations in that year. 3. Conducting family budget enquiry. The consumption pattern of the class of people for whom index number is to be calculated should be known. The expenses spent by the families for various important commodities should be inquired. The commodities which are commonly used by all families should be selected. E.g., expenses spent on rice, vegetables, groceries, electricity, cloth, etc. These inquiries should be conducted through any one of the different methods of data collection. Sample study may be conducted since the same class of people may be large in number. Random sampling technique may be adopted for selecting the sample. Problems in the construction of cost of living index number. 1. Determination of the purpose for which index number is being constructed. It is difficult to determine the purpose of construction of index number. Moreover, different class of people for whom the index number is to be constructed is a complicated one. Identification of the group of people itself is a difficult task. 2. Problems in selection of the commodities. The commodities commonly used by the same group of people may not be same. The quantity of commodities consumed also varies from family to family. The commodities are also available in different qualities. 3. Selection of sources of data. The markets selected for collection of data should be popular and well known in the localities selected for the study. The markets selected should charge uniform prices for all commodities selected for the study. It is difficult to select such kind of markets. 4. Methods of collection of data. The data may either be collected from primary source or secondary source. The primary data collected will not be correct if it is not collected properly. In the collection of secondary data also there is a need to identify the best source. 5. Problems in selection of base year. There is also a problem in the selection of base year. It should be a period of economic stability. It should not be too far in the past. 6. Problems in the method of combination of data. The data collected are usually numerous in numbers. Hence, there is problem in compiling all the data. 7. Problems in the system of weight. If there is a need to give weight for commodities according to their importance, there may be mistakes in the assignment of weights. Methods of constructing consumer price index. Consumer price index may be constructed through any one of the following two methods. 1. Aggregate expenditure method or aggregative method. 2. Family budget method or method of weighted price relatives. 1. Aggregate expenditure method or aggregative method. Aggregative method is based in the Lasper's method. In this method, the quantity of commodities consumed by a particular group in the base year are fixed as weights. The formula for consumer price index number under this method is mentioned here. Where P1 equals price of current year, P0 equals price of base year, Q0 equals quantity of base year. 2. Family budget method or method of weighted price relatives. Family budget method is based in the method of weighted average of price relatives. The formula for consumer price index number under this method is equals as mentioned here. P equals P1 by P0 x 100, V equals value weight, that is P0 into Q0. P1 equals price of current year and P0 equals price of base year. Aggregative method. In illustration 13, it is required to calculate index number through aggregate expenditure method. 6 columns table should be prepared. In first 4 columns, the data as given in illustration should be recorded. Fifth column is for P1 into Q0. Sixth column is for P0 into Q0. Sums of the last 2 columns should be calculated, and these values should be applied in the formula to know the index number through aggregate expenditure method. Family budget method. In illustration 14, it is required to calculate index number by family budget method. 6 columns table should be prepared. In first 4 columns, the data as given in illustration should be recorded. Fifth column is for P, that is P1 divided by P0 into 100. Sixth column is for P into V. Sums of the last 2 columns should be calculated, and these values should be applied in the formula to know the index number through family budget method. Exercise for the chapter index number is presented here. Please subscribe MWN.com. Exercise for the chapter index number is presented here. Please subscribe MWN.com.